Chapter 9. As dawn broke over the snow-laden streets of Evergreen, Holly found herself standing outside the old Hawthorne residence, now a neglected relic of the past. The mystery of the missing mistletoe had led her here, to the very doorstep of Jonathan Hawthorne's legacy. The house, with its peeling paint and overgrown garden, seemed to whisper secrets of better days. Holly's intuition told her that within these walls lay crucial pieces of the puzzle. With a determined breath, she pushed open the creaking gate and approached the front door. Inside, the house was a time capsule. Dusty portraits lined the walls, and antique furniture was shrouded in shadows. Holly's footsteps echoed through the hall as she made her way to Jonathan's study, a room rumored to hold his personal records and journals. As she rummaged through the papers and old letters, a sudden creaking sound from upstairs made her freeze. The house was supposed to be empty. Heart-pounding, she cautiously made her way up the staircase, each step groaning under her weight. In the dim light of the upper hallway, she noticed a door slightly ajar. Pushing it open, she found an attic room, filled with boxes and old festival decorations. In the corner, a figure was hunched over a trunk, their back to Holly. "Who's there?" Holly called out, her voice steady despite her racing heart. The figure turned, and Holly was startled to see Mr. Grayson, his face pale and his eyes wide with surprise. "Holly? What are you doing here?" he stammered. "I could ask you the same," Holly replied, her suspicions rising. "What are you looking for in this old house?" Mr. Grayson hesitated, then sighed, a look of resignation washing over his face. "I'm trying to understand my grandfather, to find out why he was so passionate about the festival's traditions. I thought maybe there was something here, in his personal effects." Holly eyed him, not fully convinced. The atmosphere in the room was tense, laden with the weight of unspoken truths. "I think there's more to it, Mr. Grayson. This isn't just about understanding your grandfather," Holly pressed. Before Mr. Grayson could respond, a loud crash from downstairs jolted them both. They exchanged a look of alarm and rushed down to investigate. In the study, they found a window forced open, a cold breeze swirling papers around the room. On the floor lay a broken ornament, one that Holly recognized from the old Christmas festival photos. It was a piece of the past, violently thrust into the present. Holly and Mr. Grayson stood amidst the chaos, the realization dawning that someone else was searching for answers about the Hawthorne legacy. The mystery of the missing mistletoe was deeper and more dangerous than Holly had anticipated. Shadows of the past were converging, threatening to engulf the present, and time was running out to find the truth. Chapter 10. In the aftermath of the break-in at the Hawthorne residence, Holly and Mr. Grayson surveyed the disarray with a growing sense of urgency. The shattered ornament on the floor was a stark reminder that they were not alone in their quest for answers. "Someone is trying to cover their tracks, or find something before we do," Holly said, her mind racing through the possibilities. Mr. Grayson, visibly shaken by the intrusion, nodded in agreement. But what could be so important that they'd resort to this? Determined to find out, Holly began sifting through the scattered papers and objects, looking for anything that might point to the motive behind the break-in. Her eyes caught a glimpse of a faded letter, tucked away in a corner of the room. It was addressed to Jonathan Hawthorne, dated just before his most heated disagreement with the council. As Holly read the letter, her expression turned serious. "This is it," she said, handing the letter to Mr. Grayson. "It's from a council member, warning Hawthorne about the consequences of his opposition to the commercialization of the festival. It mentions a drastic measure if he didn't relent." The revelation was a breakthrough, but it also added a layer of complexity to the case. The theft of the mistletoe was more than an act of nostalgia or protest. It was deeply entwined with the town's history and the long-standing feud between Hawthorne and the council. This drastic measure, could it be related to the mistletoe's disappearance? Mr. Grayson pondered. "It's possible," Holly replied. "The mistletoe might have been seen as a symbol of Hawthorne's resistance. Removing it could have been an act of retribution or control." Realizing they needed more information, Holly decided to confront Simon Snow again, hoping he might shed light on his grandmother's involvement in the dispute. As they left the Hawthorne residence, a sense of foreboding hung in the air. The mystery was unraveling, but the danger seemed to be escalating. At the theater, Simon was taken aback by their questions. "My grandmother had her differences with Hawthorne, but she wouldn't have stooped to theft or sabotage," he insisted. But as Holly pressed further, citing the letter, Simon's demeanor shifted. "There were rumors," he admitted reluctantly. "Old stories about a plan to discredit Hawthorne, to ensure the festival followed a new direction. But I always thought they were just that, rumors. Holly and Mr. Grayson stepped out into the cold night, their breaths forming misty clouds in the air. The pieces of the puzzle were coming together, but each revelation seemed to deepen the mystery. Someone in Evergreen was desperate to keep the past buried, and Holly knew that uncovering the truth about the mistletoe would expose more than just a thief. It would reveal a shadow that had been hanging over the town for decades. Chapter 11. The crisp winter air of Evergreen seemed to crackle with tension as Holly and Mr. Grayson walked through the town's snow-covered streets. The revelations at the Hawthorne residence and the theater had woven a complex tapestry of past conflicts, secrets, and lies. Holly knew that the key to solving the mystery of the missing mistletoe lay in uncovering the truth buried in these old grudges. As they approached the town square, the sight of the barren oak tree, still missing its mistletoe, served as a poignant reminder of their mission. Holly's thoughts were interrupted by the sound of hurried footsteps behind them. Turning, she saw Ben Frost, his expression grave. "I heard about the break-in at the Hawthorne house," Ben said, catching his breath. "There's something you need to see." He led them to his cafe, where a small group of townspeople had gathered around a table. Spread out on the table were several old documents and photographs, one of which Holly recognized from the Hawthorne residence. "These were in my family's attic," Ben explained. "My parents were close with the Hawthornes. I think they might shed some light on what's happening." As they examined the documents, Holly's eyes were drawn to a series of letters between Jonathan Hawthorne and Ben's parents. The letters spoke of a plan by certain council members to push Hawthorne out of the festival committee by discrediting him, making it look like he was the one commercializing the festival against his will. The revelation sent a ripple of shock through the group. It was clear that the dispute had been more than just a disagreement, it was a calculated move to seize control of the festival's direction. But how does this connect to the mistletoe's disappearance now? Mr. Grayson wondered aloud. Holly, deep in thought, looked up at the oak tree. The mistletoe. It wasn't just stolen. It was taken to prevent the truth from coming out. Someone still wants Hawthorne's legacy to be tainted. Determined to confront the person responsible, Holly led the group to the town hall. The night was silent except for the crunch of their footsteps in the snow. As they entered the hall, they found Mayor Garland reviewing old festival records. Confronted with the evidence, Mayor Garland sighed, the weight of years evident in his eyes. "I never wanted it to come to this. The mistletoe. I took it. Hawthorne's legacy was a threat to the stability of Evergreen. I thought by removing it, I could preserve the peace." The confession was a sobering moment for everyone present. The mayor, a respected figure in the community, had succumbed to the pressures of the past, unwittingly perpetuating the very rift he sought to heal. Holly and the others stepped out of the town hall, the truth now laid bare. The mystery of the mistletoe had been solved, but it had exposed deep wounds in Evergreen's heart. Now, it was up to the community to come together, to heal and to move forward, honoring both the traditions of the past and the hopes for the future. Chapter 12. The revelation in the town hall had sent shockwaves through Evergreen, but as the first light of dawn painted the sky, a sense of resolve had settled over the town. Holly, standing in the quiet of the early morning, knew that this was a pivotal moment for Evergreen. Mayor Garland's confession had not only solved the mystery of the missing mistletoe but also laid bare the underlying conflicts that had long simmered beneath the town's idyllic surface. It was a painful truth, but also a chance for reconciliation and healing. Gathered in the town square, the people of Evergreen faced the challenge of mending the fractures of their community. Holly, Ben Frost, Mr. Grayson, and other key figures took the initiative, organizing a town meeting to address the revelations and chart a path forward. In the meeting, voices were raised not in anger but in passionate discussion about the future of Evergreen and its cherished festival. Old grievances were aired, apologies made, and understanding reached. The spirit of Jonathan Hawthorne, and his desire to preserve the town's traditions, was acknowledged, but so was the need to adapt and evolve. As the discussion unfolded, Holly noticed a change in the air, a sense of unity and purpose that had been missing. The town, once divided, was finding common ground, weaving a new tapestry of community from the threads of its varied and rich history. The culmination of this newfound unity was the restoration of the mistletoe to its rightful place. In a symbolic gesture of reconciliation, Mayor Garland, accompanied by the townspeople, rehung the mistletoe on the oak tree in the town square. The simple act was met with applause and tears, a moment of healing for all of Evergreen. Under the now restored mistletoe, Holly reflected on her journey in Evergreen. What had started as a mission to solve a mystery had evolved into a journey of discovery and unity. She had not only uncovered the truth behind the missing mistletoe but had also played a part in bringing a community together. In the end, Evergreen stood united, ready to celebrate its festival with a renewed sense of togetherness and joy. The town had faced its past, embraced its present, and looked forward to a future bright with promise and hope. For Holly, Evergreen would always hold a special place in her heart, a reminder of the enduring power of community, tradition, and the magic of the holiday season.